Hi there, I'm Mary Allison Brown from reflectingrelationships.com, and we're here today to talk about my 3 favorite ways to teach mindfulness skills to young children. Let's go! Alright, so we're here today to talk about my 3 favorite games for teaching mindfulness to very young children. Let's start by talking about what is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ability to be fully present in one's own body in the present moment. So really focused on our breath and the sensations of our body at any given time. Mindfulness is not necessarily meditation, although meditation practice can be a part of practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is just the ability to be really fully focused and present. So mindfulness isn't something you have to sit and do. It is something you can do at any time while you're eating. You can practice mindful eating, or going for a walk outside. You can practice mindful walking, mindful movement. So there's lots of different ways to practice mindfulness. And today I'm going to introduce you to 3 quick, short little games that you can introduce and play with children to help them practice the experience of mindfulness. Why is it important to practice mindfulness? Mindfulness has tons and tons and tons of benefits. So one of the main benefits of mindfulness is that when we practice mindfulness, we're activating our prefrontal cortex, which is this part of our brain right here behind our forehead. And the prefrontal cortex is the last part of our brain to develop, and it's the slowest part of our brain to get to maturity. It matures around mid to late 20s. So it takes the longest time by far of any other part of our brain to be fully mature. So when we practice mindfulness, we're actually strengthening and working out our prefrontal cortex. Our prefrontal cortex is the part of our brain that's responsible for all of our executive functioning skills. So this is things like the ability to focus and pay attention, a really crucial skill for success in school, as well as life, employment, work later on in life. So that's one thing that's strengthened by practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness also strengthens working memory. So that's really important for children and adults, really anyone as well. Practicing mindfulness also helps people build empathy by strengthening their ability to take the perspective of others. Mindfulness practice also, again, by strengthening and activating the prefrontal cortex, increases the ability to have solid emotional regulation skills. So when you feel angry or frustrated and your emotional brain is taking over, when you've practiced mindfulness, the ability of your prefrontal cortex to modulate that and say, hey, slow down, take a deep breath, let's think about how we respond, is strengthened. So the prefrontal cortex is responsible for all of our planning and decision making and our ability to understand cause and effect and how to make good decisions. So really, really important life skills. And the earlier you start a mindfulness practice in your life, the more effective it will be. There's a saying that goes, a state becomes a trait, which means that the more you practice putting your body into a certain state, the more that your brain will become accustomed to that, and it might become a character trait without you really having to consciously think about it. So in terms of mindfulness practice, the more you practice putting your body into a calm, focused, present state, the more likely you are to become a calm, focused, present person. And so as an infant and early childhood mental health specialist, I think we should be starting this practice as early as possible. I don't think there is ever really a too early to start mindfulness practice. And that's because during the first 3 years, the brain develops more rapidly than it does at any other point in life. So if you are helping your 2-year-old learn how to be mindful and present and take deep breaths and regulate their emotions, that will have such a huge lasting effect on the rest of their life. All right, so now I'm going to teach you my 3 favorite ways that I teach very young children about mindfulness. The first one is called the Mindfulness Minute. Now, getting kids to lay or sit still and focus on their breathing is really challenging, as you, I'm sure, know and can imagine. So what I do is I make it into a really fun game. And I use my phone and I set a fun timer on my phone and I say, when we hear this sound, we're going to be all done. for that minute while the timer is going, we're going to see how long we can go just focusing on our breathing, going in and out. And we try for a whole minute. And sometimes you get 30 seconds, and that's great. That's 30 seconds of really quality mindfulness. And mindfulness, like everything else, is a skill. So you get that 30 seconds, and then next time, can you go 40? Can you get up to a minute? As you get better, you can increase the amount of time. But making it into a fun game where there's a defined end of the time is a really, really fun way to introduce it. And kids really like that challenge. So I've had a lot of success with that way of introducing mindfulness to little ones. The second one is called the rainbow game. So I really like the rainbow game, and this is really fun. It takes like 30 seconds. It's super fast. And it's focused on vision. So a lot of mindfulness is focusing on our incoming sensory information using all five senses. What do we see, hear, taste, smell? So with the rainbow game, we're focusing on what we can see, and it just goes like this. So stop, look around the room, and tell me something you see that's red, orange, yellow, green, and you go through all the colors of the rainbow. I like to, if children are engaged in it, I like to add on colors at the end too. So I'll add, brown, black, pink, magenta, if they're old enough to know those variations in colors. I often get called out that those colors are not in the rainbow, and that was not what the game was called. But it's a fun way to really focus on the environment that you're in right now. Bring your attention to the present time and place. And then the third one is really similar, using a different sense, and that one is called What Do I Hear? So in What Do I Hear, you stop. You be really, really, really quiet and listen. And you listen to hear as many sounds in your environment as you can hear. Right now, I can hear my heater running. I can hear a cat scratching on my stairs. I can hear someone hammering next door. And the quieter you are, the more things you'll hear. And so that's really fun to point out to little ones too. Like, the quieter we can be, the more other things we can notice. And just talking about what you notice in the environment is a great way to promote that skill of mindfulness. So those are my 3 favorite, super quick, super easy, super fun ways to introduce mindfulness to kids in really tiny little chunks. So again, the more that we practice these things, the better we are at them. And you can increase that minute to be 2 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes someday. But starting there at the mindfulness minute and with the rainbow game and the What Do I Hear game are great fun ways to introduce the skill of mindfulness to kids in your life. So, what do you think? What are some other ways that you like to introduce mindfulness to kids? I'd love to hear about it. Leave me a comment below. And if you've enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you'd share with a friend who would also enjoy it. I think it's up to all of us to help the kids in our lives grow to be resilient and strong, and I truly appreciate your support. All right, I will see you next time. Bye.